garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden, gardening in Zone 5B in the Chicago suburbs. I'm an avid at-home gardener who loves to grow cut flowers. Also, I love gardening in general, but cut flowers seem to be my jam the past few years, and right now I'm going to give you a tour of my September cut flower garden. Come along. And if you're new here, this is Axel, and he'll be our co-pilot for today's tour. First, we'll start with dahlias, and my dahlia beds have exploded. Let me preface that I just got back from a week-long trip in upstate New York with my family, so I haven't deadheaded, I haven't cut off of these for a week, and it shows. Look at these blooms. I am so excited. This is basically them at their peak, but I do need to come in and deadhead them, so you'll see some wasted blooms, but it is what it is. Let's take a look at some of my favorites. First, we're gonna come in and look at Cafe Au Lait, which I've finally successfully grown. I tried to grow it last year. It didn't come to a bloom for me, and now I have it. Now this one actually has an open face here. You can see the inside, so I should have come out and harvested this already, but it's still in a pretty much stunning structure. Now what you'll see happening here is a bunch of leaners because yes, I staked my dahlias and you can see some stakes in here, but I have neglected to actually attach them to the stakes. If you look right in the center here, this is why you should stake and attach your dahlias. That's a Cafe Au Lait that is getting smushed, so don't do what I do. Definitely actually attach your dahlias to the stakes, whatever stakes you're using, so they don't smash your beautiful blooms. So I've got some going every which way, including this very, very heavy Belle of Bermuda. Look at these blooms on here. Some of them are past their prime, but some of them are spectacular. Oh my gosh, I gotta get you up to see this one. I'm hoping you can see this beauty a little better here. I'm going to come out and harvest a bunch of these tonight, but how impressive is she? And she has a ton of blooms. Right here alone, I see 4 or 5 and probably up to 6 other buds. So it is an impressive, prolific plant. I can't handle it. I'm gonna deadhead a little bit as I go because some of these stalks are so heavy with these blooms. They're leaning so much on the others like I just showed you. So I'm gonna do a little deadheading as we go here. I mean, even her being squished, she's still gorgeous. Cafe Au Lait, just a little bit squished up in here. I'm sorry I let that happen to you, but you're still really pretty. Here's a look at a la mode, and she has been stunning in my garden. I've gotten several different variations of her, but this is an example of one of her blooms, and she is strikingly beautiful. She's also one that is very prolific. I have several blooms off of her, and I've got some that I need to harvest as well now. So these are all a la mode, and they all look different. This is just absolutely pristine to me. Oh, how I love this. Absolutely gorgeous, no bug damage. The back looks incredible too. It doesn't have an open face yet, so this was actually harvested at the right time. But from the same plant, I get one that looks like this, pretty similar to what I just showed you. And then one that is different, but still in a la mode. So you can get different variations of your dahlia blooms off of one plant, which I think is super fun and makes it really unique harvesting, seeing all the little subtleties of the differences that you can get on your blooms. So of course we have Cornell here, which is probably the one I get the most blooms off, either this one or Blizzard, which is a white one I'll show you in a little bit. But it is a ball dahlia, and it has a great texture on its blooms. It has just been thriving for me. I like the Cornell, which is a true red, as opposed to Cornell Bronze, which has a little orange in it. I much prefer this one to that one. I also have a new one, which I believe this is either Linda's Baby or Connecticut Coral. I have to double check and look both of them up because I forget what they look like, but this one is super beautiful as well. Does remind me of Alamode, but it's different. Let me give you an up-close look of this. Here she is, and it's not showing up on camera as yellow as it is in person, but there's a lot of yellow on the inside of the petals with striations of coral through it and then some white tips, which is really pretty, a great combination. Here's a look at another one. You can see the same texture and patterns that I'm talking about there with the color. It's really a beautiful dahlia. And we have Polka over here, P-O-L-K-A, with the fluffy centers, like an anemone looking dahlia. Both really beautiful, and this one has just exploded. I came home to several blooms on it, but I've got another variation of this as well. So these two are still closed, so if you look inside, it's still yellow, but it's not open and frilly yet like the other side. So I actually like both of these variations of the same dahlia. And then back here, things have gone a little wild, but I'm loving it. Everywhere I am in this space, there's a flower, and I could not be happier. Here is the walkway where my dahlia bed and my zinnia bed are close to one another, and it is that point of the season, for the first time in my history of growing cut flowers, that my walkway has disappeared. There's no getting through there right now, but I love it. That is good growth, amazing cut flowers, long stems, color for days. This is like a cut flower wonderland over here. Now, that being said, I do need to come in and clean this up so that I can get through a little bit and harvest, 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 deadhead, deadhead, deadhead. Also another reason why I need to actually attach my dahlias to the stakes that I put in when I planted the tubers. But either way, I love it. Let's look at some of the dahlias that I've already shown you, because Lark's Ebb, as I've said before, is a champion. Oh, wow. Wow, I've never seen this. So this is what Lark's Ebb looks like. A gorgeous dahlia. It has been amazing for me this year. This is a really, well, I wouldn't say really. This is a nice bloom, but when you look at the back, it has lost some of the strength in its petals. However, I've never seen this. This is what was on the stalk, and you know what this is it is a dahlia that has lost all of its petals, and I'm left with this iridescent layer of petals. I've never seen that before. It's quite beautiful. I would put that in a bouquet with a lot of interest. I mean, look at that. That's so unique and gorgeous. A first find for me, everyone. Woohoo! Who knew a dahlia who lost all of its petals could be so beautiful? Here. This one has some of the petals left on it, but it hasn't quite lost all of them. So this is a middle stage. I just shook it and some of the petals came off. I didn't mean to do that, but you can see what I'm saying. So interesting. We learn something from nature all the time. Now some new ones I haven't talked about because they just bloomed for me. This is Sweet Natalie right in here, and it is a new one for me this year. Now this is Sweet Natalie, and she actually has a hint of lavender from what I'm seeing, and has a fairly big bloom. If I take my hand up, it's a little bigger than my palm. It extends into my fingers a little bit. So she is a really beautiful white with lavender, just the lightest touch of lavender. But this is Sweet Natalie. Here's another one, and her structure is really nice and strong. The way the petals are structured. Not hard, but a nice strong texture, if that makes sense. I think I'll repeat this one for next year for sure. Sweet Natalie. Nice to meet you, babe. And then we have Blizzard, which is this tall one right here and over to the right as well. It has bloomed like crazy for me. I think I actually put 2 of these tubers in the ground, so it's 2 plants. But it's a tried and true, excellent dahlia. Very prolific, lots of blooms, easy to grow, was the first one that bloomed for me and has been packing on the blooms ever since. A true white color. Then to the left we have zinnias, and let this be a testament to why you cut in deep into your plants, because I have been cutting deep into these zinnias when I harvest them. And what I mean by that is if this is my bloom, instead of stopping here, I'm going one lower, and at least an elbow's length is how far I'm cutting it. Then I can strip the leaves, and I've got a really nice long stemmed zinnia to work with. And because I cut it deep, I get long stems with more blooms because it's like it's pinched, and so it stems out multiple stems from that spot that it was cut at. So cut deep into your plants. You will be grateful because you'll get so many more. Similarly, I've also been trying to keep them deadheaded. So like this one, if you can see, I'm starting to lose light, is a little brown around the edges. This is not peak pike shape. I don't keep that, but I want to cut it off so that the plant will send up more stems and more bloom. So stay on top of deadheading. Like, this is my job for the next couple days because I was gone a week. Yes, it's really pretty because there's blooms everywhere and color everywhere, which I love. But I don't love that I have to go in and deadhead all these old blooms off because they're just wasting energy out of the plant when I could have harvested them on time if I were home, and then they'd be sending out new stems and new buds. So stay on top of your deadheading, stay on top of your harvesting. This is a good example here of a wiggle test for harvesting zinnias. If I wiggle it and that head's going everywhere, it's not staying sturdy like this one is, not time to harvest. If I wiggle it and it stays still, then we're good to harvest it. That's a good note for zinnias. Also make sure that you are letting them rest in a bucket overnight before you put them together in a bouquet. They do better that way. Sometimes they'll get droopy necks, but if you let them rest in the water, let them process, if you will, that's the process of processing. That's the process of letting them sit in water and rehydrate. They'll be better in working with them the next day. Little shake, shake, shake. That one's pretty good. Come down deep, cut it. All good. So if I have to pick 3 faves from my zinnias this year, for sure, Benary's Giant, Salmon Rose. I'm losing so much light. There's never enough time in the day. It is my favorite, gorgeous salmon color. Benary's Giant, Deep Red. And Benary's Giant Lime. Those are my top 3 zinnias that I've planted this year in my garden. And they happen to all look incredible together. It'd be great if you could see this more. For the record, in case you couldn't see it at all outside, this is what the impromptu bouquet turned into. But zinnias are rock stars. They are so easy to grow. You can direct sow them, which means you can throw them in some dirt in a garden bed or raised bed, and they will easily grow on their own. I do start mine inside. I've had very good luck with starting them in cell trays. We've got a bunch of different varieties up here, most of which is zinnias, but look at these. Oh, they look so healthy. I'm so happy. They've done well for me, and I just get a head start on them that way. But if you are new, I recommend direct sowing in some dirt, and you'll be amazed with the flowers you can get from zinnias. Now these zinnias on the other side, I'm on the other side of the raised bed. These are a lot of Scarlet zinnias, which I'll show you in a second, but I wanted you to see the height. I'm 5'4", and this is probably about 6 feet, 6.5 feet. They are just humongous and have exploded for me this year. This is the Scarlet color, and if you've actually seen the Crayola crayon that's Scarlet, it is the exact color that this Zinnia is. It has more of an orange tint to it with a little bit of red. However, not my favorite. If I had to drop any from my repertoire, it would be Scarlet, just because I'm not an orange type of girl, and it does have a decent amount of orange in it, but it's still very beautiful. And it does look great with the others as well. I just saw a hummingbird fly by. The hummingbird I saw this afternoon too comes and feasts on like the insides of my zinnias. I don't know what it gets from there, some sort of sugar, maybe it's pollen. But it's the sweetest little hummingbird. I love it. And look at my Lisianthus bed. Second flush complete. I harvested off of these earlier in the year after the first big flush of blooms, which I was beyond excited about. Then we've got these gorgeous Lisianthus that have just exploded over the past few days. And you can see they've flushed again. So happy with this. It's just armloads of Lisianthus, and I could not be happier. Oh my gosh, I think I've done it. I definitely recommend using soil blocks to start them in. I had great luck with that, using the smallest soil block and then bumping them up into bigger cell trays. Or you could also do bigger soil blocks as you go. But this is by far the best Lisianthus year I have had. And there's another bed up front. Oh, got a slug on one. This is the Arena 3 red, I believe. Either that or a pink. I'll have to double check. I don't think it's pink because I'm not a pink girl. I really probably wouldn't order that. But I think it could be the Arena 3 red. But it is coming on strong now. I didn't have any of these in the first flush, but I definitely have some now. And she does not disappoint. I don't even like pink, but she's a pretty girl. Again, not my favorite because I'm not a pink girl, but I would grow her again because I know some people that would love this. After researching, I think this is actually Arena 3 apricot. I do not think it is Arena 3 red. I think it is Arena 3 apricot. Comment below and let me know what you think. And then we have Dahlia, which has come on recently too. I didn't have any of these in the first flush. And you can see it's a much smaller Lisianthus. This is Dahlia white. And they're petite blooms, not super ruffly petals, but they're very sweet. And would I grow these again? Probably. I would grow a few because I like that they add a little different dimension and they'll still last a very long time in a vase. However, the bigger ones I would grow more of because they're such stoppers. That's the Voyage to White Lisianthus, all the voyages. Voyage to Champagne is another one of my favorites. The Arena series, which would be something like this, I would grow those before I would grow these, but I'll still grow some of these. Does that make sense? One thing about the Lisianthus that I will do for next year, because you can see it's kind of falling on itself a little bit, even though it stays stunningly gorgeous, is I will use Hortonova netting to help it stay upright, or some type of jute fabric to help it stay upright and make like a cellular Rubik's Cube type of looking pattern in the raised beds, just to help those stems stay upright, because when they get heavy, they do fall forward a little bit as they're reaching for the sun as well. So just a little note on what I'm planning to do next year with my Lissies. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop here and we'll call this part 1 of the September cut garden tour, because you cannot see me as much as I would like you to be able to. So we'll wrap this up here. I even made a little impromptu bouquet. I wasn't expecting to, but I love it. Some Lisianthus and some Zinnias. Looks great. Got a few Dahlias inside. You just have to start a cut garden. If you haven't yet, but you wanted to, just try. Even just a few flowers. It fills me with so much joy, and I think it would probably fill you with some joy too. So don't worry about if it's a small space or a very large space. Do what works for you, because I want everybody to get something out of what they're growing like I do, because boy, your girl really needed this a few years ago and it lifted me up. So in conclusion, I will come back and I will finish a September tour when you can see me. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up like button. It really helps out my channel. And also subscribe to my channel to follow along with all things garden. I would love to have you here. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one, part 2. Happy planting. Bye. It's really not even that dark out. Why isn't it letting you see me? I wish I was more technologically advanced. I could probably figure out how to lighten this up, but ta-ta for now.